Hey guys, welcome to Troy Time. Hey, check it out. Today we're going to talk more about this ultra low power, awesome file player and gaming station, okay? I'm just going to be calling it basically a super iPod because that's what it is, okay? We talked about it a little bit already in our last video. We talked about how to hack the battery to solve that issue. This thing's only $6. You'll pick it up for $5 or $6 on eBay and then hack the battery with one little hack if needed, and then you're good to go, okay? So we talked about how to hack the battery in our last video. We talked about how to add the software. We use VLC Player for our file player for that, because that is the best player out there, and it's gonna play every single file format, okay? Before we get deep into it today, I just wanna touch base. We're gonna talk today about how to load games on it, okay? Awesome games. But I wanna just explain a little more. This thing is so awesome, guys. I mean, it really, really is. Again, it's going to take a quarter of a watt to play music, okay? And 1 watt when you're playing video files for video games, okay? So comparatively, just to let you know, so again, this was $6, right? If you go and you get some other file players, you know, this is another, so this is what we got here. This is our Droid X2, okay, with our little battery hack. But compare it to something like this, right? This could be an iPod. This is sort of a generic iPod. This one here runs about $30. This one here runs about $50 or so. And if you got like a real iPod, like from Apple, it's going to be over $100, all right? But look how small the screens are. The screen is much bigger, okay? The screen on this is comparable to my Apple iPhone, okay? It's comparable. It's almost the same size. So it's much bigger than one of these. And this plays every single file format when these only play like 1 or 2, okay? And so, and it's just much, much easier to work with. Unlike an iPod, this has an SD card in it that you can just slide it in and out, and you've got just instant access to your files. You don't have to mess around with iTunes or any of that stuff, okay? It's just right on the card. So it's just super simple to use. So uses so little amount of power, it's very inexpensive, and it's gonna be just super useful, okay? If I compare this to my iPhone, right? It's almost the same size. It uses about 1/4 of the power, maybe 1/5 in some cases, okay? This thing is just a power hog compared to this one, okay? And this has an FM radio that this doesn't, okay? An actual local FM radio. And this is gonna have awesome games that this one can't play, okay? So we love this thing. This thing is awesome. You should build one of these. You should do what I'm doing on these videos. This thing is awesome, okay? Again, the reason that we're doing this is because we want this basically for emergencies, okay? I am presenting to you that there will be times in 2024 and 2025 for most people where a lot of people are out of power and or the internet for an extended amount of time. That is coming, guys. It really is. I don't know if you know, and this is not just me saying this, okay? Just this last week, the director of the FBI said China is posed to do cyber attacks which will do real world damage to America, okay? That's from the head of the FBI, okay? So all the intel's out there, guys. This stuff's on the horizon. All the tensions are heating up in the world. There's going to be some cyber attacks. There already have been some cyber attacks, okay? And so you want to be prepared. You want to have local files like I'm talking about. This is great for if there's no internet or no power for a long while. It's super low power, and you can just shove all your data on there, okay? So that's a great reason to get this. I highly recommend that you do, okay? It's important. All right, but let's talk about how to get games on these things, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to load what are called retro emulators, okay? So what the games that this is going to play, okay, the ones that I've tested on here that work, you're going to have what's called an emulator, which emulate or simulate, if you like, older gaming systems, okay? So we're going to load one for the Nintendo. We're going to load one for the Super Nintendo. We're going to load one for the Nintendo 64, and we're going to load one for the Game Boy. And you'll be able to play all those games for those systems on this device, okay? I've tested it, it works, okay? And it works really well. All right, so let's talk about how to do that. Okay, I don't have my computer in front of me right now, but I will post some images so that you can follow along, okay? We've already done the hack for the battery. We've already talked a little bit also about how to do a defeat activation so that you can get around activation and anything like that. And for the games, it's going to be super simple. We're just going to side load them, okay? You're going to use 2 different websites, okay? The first one is retroemulators.com. That's the name, retroemulators.com, okay? I'll post a picture up here. And so you want to go to that site. That's where we're going to get our emulators, okay? There are 4 main emulators. Emulators are the gaming system themselves, and the games that those emulator play are called ROMs. Those are the games. So emulators are the devices, the program that simulates the devices, and ROMs are the games, the programs that simulate the games. Okay, and once you get to that site, you're going to want to select platforms. And then you're going to want to select Android. There'll be a lot of things available there, but these are the ones that I've recommended, I've tested, and I know that they work for this device. And you're going to download 4 files, okay? 1 for each of the gaming systems, okay? I'm going to list them here and show them, okay? The Nintendo one is the Nostalgia player. Okay, that's what you're going to use for playing Nintendo games. The Super Nintendo one is the SNES 9X. The Game Boy one is the GBA Free. And the Nintendo 64 is the Mupen AE, I believe is what it is. I'll put a picture here. There's a certain number that goes with it. I think it's 2.44, something like that. It'll be in the picture that I'm showing you right now. Okay, so those are the 4 files that you want to download, okay? So I'll show you a picture of those in the folder right here. All right, so yeah, so now what you have to do is put those on an SD card, stick them into your phone, navigate to those, and then open each one to install it. Okay, I'll show you a little of that here in a moment. All right, so let's give this a shot, okay? So I'm going to go into our Files app, which is right here. I'm going to go into our SD card, which is right here, okay? I'm going to go into Emulators. Okay, and those are our 4 emulator files, okay? So let's start with the Nostalgia NES, okay? So let's just do this. This is what it's going to do. You can just accept all that stuff and then install. Now, not every emulator will work with each device, okay? Application installed, as you can see. So certain emulators will work with certain devices and certain emulators will work with certain others. That's why I'm showing you these particular ones from this particular site, okay? These same emulators, when we go to load emulators on our Fire tablet, these won't work. They won't parse the data. They won't install, okay? And some of the ones that work for those won't work on these phones. So you kind of got to play around until you find, you know, which ones match up, which is what I've done here for you, okay? So now the NES is already installed. You're just going to do this for all of them. But now if I go back to my home page, we should see, let's see. There it is, Nostalgia NES. Okay, and let's click on it. Now this one's going to automatically search for ROMs, and it's found the one that I've loaded on here. Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, okay? Let's start this up. Oh, look here. All right, and here it is in landscape orientation, okay? Okay, yeah, so now you're just going to repeat that process of installing the other 3 emulators, okay? 1 for the Super Nintendo, 1 for the Game Boy, and 1 for the Nintendo 64, okay? All right, so now let's talk about games, okay? Games are called ROMs, okay? R-O-M. R-O-M is a ROM image. You may hear it called a ROM image, okay? Games are available different places in the internet. The one place that I did test to see if they worked, because I wanted to test them on the phone, it's called romsandgames.net, I believe. I'll put a picture right here. I'll show you. Yeah, so the address is in that picture, okay? So that one, now these sites come and go, right? So that one might not be around There goes spinning. That one might not be around at the time you're watching this video, but there's ROMs out there, okay? So now let me talk a little bit about ROMs. Let's talk about the big question that everyone's going to have. The big question that a lot of you are going to have is about the legalities of doing this, okay? So let's talk about that for a moment. First, let me say I'm not a lawyer, right? Don't follow me for legal advice, okay? I'm not a lawyer. I will give you my opinion, okay, and the best I know at the time, all right? If you go online and you look for what is the legality of using emulators and ROMs, there seems to be a consensus among the lawyers in the following things, okay? For one, it's kind of a moot point, okay? Because all the lawyers will tell you no one's ever gone to court over copyright issues for ROMs, okay, or emulators, right? No one's ever been in court, so there's no precedent. So everyone's just kind of has a fuzzy, vague idea about what most people think. But like I say, it's kind of a moot point because no one's ever gone to court. So that's kind of your answer that should be all-encompassing. But the other part of that is this. The emulators, everyone agrees, are totally legal to have, okay? They're programs that simulate things. Someone has coded them. They've distributed them out there. The emulators are totally legal, okay? The ROMs are sometimes legal, according to what most people believe, okay? So what it is there is something called a fair use policy. And basically what that's going to say is that most people agree, any ROM that you've purchased in the past, you've also bought the rights of. And so there is a fair use policy that says that you have the legal right to make copies of that, okay? So basically, if you've ever owned that game, then you can legally possess that ROM, okay? That seems to be the consensus. Now, if you download ROMs of games you've never owned, that does, most people agree, constitute a copyright violation, okay? It'd be similar to recording a song off the radio. You're breaking the same copyright rule, okay? So be advised of that. It does appear to be legal to download the emulators. It does appear to be legal to download the ROMs of games that you have purchased, okay? Games that you have not purchased, it does seem to be a violation of copyright, similar to like recording a song off the radio. Okay, guys, ROMs and emulators have been around for years and years and years, and tons of people have been using them, okay? You see it a lot in the military, especially like before someone goes on deployment, they'll get a device, just fill it completely full of data, movies and games and players and things like that. And so they've been around forever. I'll share this story of a couple of my buddies. They downloaded some super set of ROMs, some mega giant collection or whatever, 10,000, 15,000 ROMs for every gaming system. And they got it off some torrent file sharing thing or something. And so anyways, one guy took all the files, stuck it on a device, went on deployment, used them all through deployment, no problem, all that. The other guy kept all the files in a share folder that he was still sharing through that program, through the torrent. And about 2 weeks later, he said he got an email from his internet service provider where they said that they had a complaint about copyright material. And he said that they gave him 48 hours to remove the sharing of those items. And so he just took the folder and stuck it in another place on the computer that wasn't shared. And so that's all that came of it. So the best recommendation that I can make is this. And again, it's not legal advice, right? But I would download whatever you're comfortable downloading. I would not share those files, distribute them in any way, and I would definitely not try and sell those files because that could get you in trouble. The best advice I can give you is download whatever games you have purchased in the past and then you can play them with, most experts agree, total legality, okay? If you decide to download more, you'll probably be just fine. I don't know the rules where you live, so I can't speak in legal terms. I'm speaking mostly from here in the United States. I can't speak for whatever legalities are wherever you live at whatever your location is, okay? So I'm not giving legal advice. But my thoughts would be, if you download just games that you bought in the past, you should be just fine. That's what most legal people seem to think, okay? But no one's ever gotten to court, so it should be a completely null issue. But if you do download more than that, or even if you download that, don't distribute them, don't share them, and don't try and sell them, right? That will definitely get you in trouble. So that definitely would be a copyright violation, all right? So anyways, you can fill this thing up, and there's lots of games to be had. That's one location. If that location doesn't work, just search around for ROMs, and you should find some on the internet. Yeah, guys, so let me just touch base on a couple other things, okay? This thing is so freaking cool. This thing is so ultra low power, okay? It'll play for 36 hours. It'll play videos or video games for 36 hours on a single USB battery, okay? It'll play 144 hours of music on a single USB battery or radio, FM radio, which would be great in an emergency, right? So that's totally awesome. So let me give you an example, right, of how awesome this is. So if you have a USB battery, right, and let's say it's got 1 bar left, it's got just 1 bar. Okay, 1 bar is 9 watts, okay? Most people are gonna look at that and go, that battery is almost empty, and not think that it can do much, right? But when there's just 1 bar left on that USB battery, you've got a full day's entertainment with this guy, just with the 1 bar, okay? That 1 bar can do, that's 9 watts, it can do 8 hours of music, right, or radio, and it can do 7 hours of video games or videos. So you've got 15 hours of entertainment for just that 1 bar on that USB battery, 9 watts, okay? 15 hours. And it's actually entertainment for 2 people because 2 people can listen to the music coming off of this thing. Most of the games that you can get downloaded here are going to be for 2 people or can be for 2 people, right? And 2 people can watch a movie on the phone. So you're essentially, for 9 watts, you've got entertainment all day long for 2 people, okay? It's amazing. This thing is awesome. You want to make one of these or acquire one or use one, follow along with my videos, right? And you want to have one for emergencies. You want to have one just anyways. But when power's out, man, you can stretch your power so much with one of these. Let me tell you one other little thing. I'm always recommending that 100-watt panel, right? 100-watt, there's lots, I've got lots of different ones. Right now, I think they're $53.04 for, I believe it's EcoWorthy. Might be Renogy. I'll look and see, but they're $53.04 for a 100-watt panel right now. Awesome deal. Go online, you'll see them on eBay for like a scratch and dent. Okay, big deal. The frame has a little scratch. They're always in great shape and they're tested and they come with a warranty. But anyways, 100-watt panel, right? I'm always talking about, yeah, in bright sun, you know, you'll get 80 watts off of it. That's awesome. But let me tell you the other thing. So one of the other awesome things about that 100-watt panel is that even on the darkest day, okay, I'm talking complete rain, rain's coming down, black clouds in the sky, storm clouds, not just cloud cover, black clouds, rain coming down, okay? That 100-watt panel is going to pull about 1 watt, okay? It's still going to pull in about 1 watt, right? Which means if you leave that thing outside for 10 hours, you're going to have 9 watts, right? We just talked about what 9 watts can do. 9 watts can give you an all-day supply of entertainment with this thing, okay? And that's what you can get on the worst day of like the biggest storm with that panel, with that 100-watt panel. So that 100-watt panel gives you just those little micro bits of power, even in the stormiest day. It really does. So if you leave it outside all day long, you'll still have enough to have complete 2 people 15 hours of entertainment, right? So get one of those 100-watt panels too. You really want them. That's one of the reasons why I encourage people to get that size, not for just how much it can take in on a sunny day, but it can also take in just enough on a bad stormy day. Okay, so another thing. But yeah, so this thing's awesome. You're definitely going to want to have local files. You're definitely going to have something low power, and this fits the bill, man. This thing is awesome. So I hope you've been following along. I'm going to cut it out right there. Next videos will be coming. It might not be the next videos, but they'll be coming up. We're gonna do another phone so that because there might not be too many of these available, so we'll give you another option with another phone, and we're going to be doing similar stuff to a couple Fire tablets as well. Coming up, and we're going to go through all those low power devices from the low power device video. If you've not seen the video on low power devices, go check that out next. Okay, it's recently on my video playlist, so go check that one out. There's a lot of low power devices. We're going to cover several of those coming up. We still got more canning, more hydroponics, lots of stuff coming, guys. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you like this stuff. I know I love this stuff, and I hope you utilize it. Make one of these. Get one of these on hand. All right, guys. That's all I got for you today. We're going to come back real soon. This is Troy Time. I'm out.